Their tongue is as an arrow shot out. It speaketh deceit. And they will deceive every one his neighbor, and will not speak the truth. They have taught their tongue to speak lies, and weary themselves to commit iniquity.
Forget it, Bart. It's so bright out you can't see anything in the sky except the Fox satellite.
Take heed that no man deceive you. Take heed that no man deceive you.
Look, his smoke's back.
Oh.
No, that's a missile. They shot it. They're shooting at it. I swear. I told you that was a sound barrier.
They popped it.
Oh my gosh.
Wait,
It's coming towards us.
something's
It's
falling.
coming down. Yeah, it's falling.
Oh my gosh. Just took that thing out the sky.
Why would they do that right over us?
No, it's over the ocean right now.
A false witness shall not be unpunished, and he that speaketh lies shall perish.
Hovering over Montana is theirs. They're calling it a weather balloon.
Would you like to spy in my satellite balloon? Would you like to spy in my satellite balloon? We could float over Montana together, just you and I, and we can spy.
Palestine is one of the best-kept secrets in East Texas. The Columbia Scientific Balloon Facility is a renowned balloon launch site involved in world-class scientific research.
The data that we get, the scientists get rather, is used all around the globe.
The National Scientific Balloon Facility was moved to Palestine in 1963. It has recently been renamed the Columbia Scientific Balloon Facility in honor of the Columbia crew and is under the sponsorship of NASA.
When I first came to work here, it was we were launching a lot of small balloons, 11 million cubic foot balloons and 4 million cubic foot balloons. But as time progressed, we got to launching the bigger, heavier balloons that lift 8,000 pounds.
For balloon launches throughout the world, including Antarctica. A number of the facility's balloons are launched each year from that icy land with its 15 plus to 20 below temperatures. The balloons, made of material as thin as trash bags but bigger than football fields, are inflated with helium and launched on journeys to the edge of space. The data gathering and scientific experiments they carry out can be accomplished at a fraction of the cost of rockets.
A lot of people think that what we do has to do with forecasting the weather.
Weather forecasting, it's not, although weather monitoring for launches is part of the job. But what about sorting out the Big Bang Theory, detecting cosmic rays, measuring ozone layers, and hundreds of other scientific experiments that most of us don't understand? But what is accomplished by the Columbia Scientific Balloon Facility may well affect our lives and those of our children as long as this planet spins.
95% of all telephone and data is transferred over submarine cables. Not satellite. Not satellite.
Over land, the voices travel from tower to tower on a radio beam, being amplified and re-amplified at each relay point along the way. However, since relay towers must always be in sight of each other, inevitably the limit to radio relay transmission is the ocean. Radio telephone communication of another type has been in service across the Atlantic for many years. Radio waves are beamed to the sky and reflected down to Earth on the other side of the ocean. However, nearly all the wavelengths available for telephone communication have already been put to use to handle the ever-growing volume of international calls.
If you've ever phoned or emailed someone on another continent or browsed a foreign website, you can dial up some gratitude for something that happened a century and a half ago.
It's been 150 years since the first transatlantic cable began ushering in global communications. And now tech giants are taking that undersea revolution a big step further. Here's Mark Albert.
When you pick up the phone to reach out and touch someone across the oceans, it's only possible because of
satellite. Not satellite. Not satellite. Not satellite.
Like the Global Sentinel.
This is cable tank number 1.
And what am I standing on right now?
Not satellite. Not satellite. You're standing on fiber optic cable that's going to be laid from here towards Brazil. Not satellite. Not satellite.
So the cable we're walking on right now will be under the ocean carrying my phone calls?
Yes, it will. It's a good chance any call you make to South America in the future could be on this exact cable for the next 20, 25 years. Cable comes right off into the ocean from here.
Robots take over from there, diving to a depth too deep for humans. The machines use water jets to create a trench, allowing the cable to sink into the seabed and become buried.
95% of all telephone and data is transferred over submarine cables. Not satellite. Not satellite.
How does DirecTV work? How does Dish Satellite work? Well, it's really, really simple. If you'll drive around your neighborhood and you look at all the little supposedly satellite dishes on the side of the houses, well, they're all pointing the same way, which should common sensely tell you that they're all pointing toward the closest data tower to give that signal. Now, if these little dishes were working off of satellites in space, well, they'd all just be turned straight up in the air. They wouldn't all be facing the same angle. I mean, it's really, really common sense. And also, another subject I wanted to hit real quick while we're talking about this is cell phones. I don't understand why people think that cell phones run off of satellites. Now, have you ever been out in the country or been over to a friend who lives on the outskirts of town and you can't get a signal? You got to walk out to the end of their driveway to get a signal, or you got to drive down to the end of the road to get a signal. Well, it's really, really simple. The closer you get to that data tower, then you get a signal. I mean, if it worked off a satellite, you should just be able to stand there in the same spot, and the signal would eventually orbit around to you, especially if the Earth is spinning and satellites are orbiting the Earth at the same time. Well, the signal should eventually come around to you. I mean, seriously, don't everybody has that one spot in town or going through one town to another that you call a dead spot, and you know when you get there that you're not going to have a signal. That right there should tell you something. You should just be able to sit there and wait for that signal to come to you, but it doesn't.
Let me guess. You saw the curvature in the images from satellites. The thousands of magical orbiting aluminum tin cans floating in space. It's all animation and games until one comes crashing down on your squad. Many crashed satellites have been reported the world over. And the one thing they all have in common is giant helium balloons attached to them. It's not that they wouldn't use the magical floating satellites if they could. It's that they don't physically exist, nor does the globe. They have been sending these up one at a time since it all began. I will allow them to explain it.
He got a patent on that in 1950, and those early balloons were so large they didn't have any way to launch them, except they actually launched them from aircraft carriers.
Modern scientific ballooning was born. It was also the genesis for NASA's newly developed super pressure balloon.
The reason for super pressure ballooning is they have absolutely stable altitude, day, night, and it doesn't matter how cold the atmosphere is. They are sealed.
So your shape is always the same, you always displace the same amount of air, and therefore you have the same amount of buoyancy all the time.
This day-to-night altitude stability allows super pressure balloons and the sun.
Hi, I'm Matt, and this is NASA Now.
NASA's been using balloons for science research for over 30 years. The exploration that can be done on balloons is continuing to grow. The standard balloon that I fly is about 660 feet long when it's made. So when it's inflated, it's over 400 feet tall by 440 feet wide. Think of a dome stadium. That's how big my balloons are.
So let me get this straight. It is now public knowledge that they send up satellites on massive helium-filled balloons. As you should know, NASA is the largest consumer of helium in the world, for obvious reasons. But the issue with society is that they never critically think. Just think for a second here. If these are sent up to provide the world with all of the important information we need, and I'm sure the entire process is expensive and difficult to accomplish, then please explain to me what in the flat world do these pathetic animations do for you? Do they make you happy inside? Are they so super duper cool that you cannot see past the obvious CGI? The fact of the matter is everything NASA sends up on a balloon simply hovers above our motionless Earth. That is why they rarely speak about orbiting satellites, and of course, they never show footage.
Welcome to the satellite folks. Just another one of them NASA jokes. You can't fly me a picture of a satellite without bringing up a bunch of that CGI. Just a bunch of cartoons all over the place. When I search satellites in space. Yeah, type that phrase into Google, folks. Let me welcome you to the satellite home.
Ye are of your father the devil, and the lusts of your father ye will do. He was a murderer from the beginning, and abode not in the truth, because there is no truth in him. When he speaketh a lie, he speaketh of his own, for he is a liar and the father of it.
It's fact that the earth is flat. It's fact that the earth is flat. It's fact that the earth is flat. It's fact that the earth. NASA lies. They want you to believe that it's your eyes. The moon is 200,000 miles away. Nice try, they ask. Why would they lie? Say 50 million plus a day seems kinda high. Besides, we are the apple of his eye. Take away the dome and we're not. Are you surprised? And if so, why? Think about it, mate. really a big bang? Then evolution? How could we be stardust? That's as nuts as Isaac Newton. All the research that I've been doing, you could even do if you're blind and stupid. Get a book on tape or YouTube and view it. It all makes sense. They don't want you to see the truth or to believe the truth, cause they believe you don't even need the truth. It's all made up, the elite, they're all in a club, and it's all gonna get worse. They signed it in blood, but in Yah's name holds faith and trust. So I'm just chilling, trying to tell y'all what's up. Repent. It's fact that the earth is flat. 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 It's fact that the earth. NASA lies. NASA is a devil in disguise.
Does it feel like you're moving? Feel that? Same thing you've always felt? Nothing? Ever? Nobody's ever felt movement. Nobody's ever seen the earth move. Nobody's ever seen the earth curve. Maybe you just got fooled by some Masons. Mark Twain said, "It's easier to fool people than to convince them they've been fooled." That's why it's so hard to convince you you've been fooled. You can't possibly believe that you and the rest of the world could have been lied to and deceived by these Masons, the oldest and largest secret society in the world.
And all liars shall have their part in the lake which burneth with fire and brimstone, which is the second death.